Hey everyone. Today's read is in Revelation 2. I was hoping to be better prepared by the time I got to this chapter or this read, because a couple weeks ago I started going through the seven churches that Jesus warns or addresses in Revelation, and it's really actually a very interesting thing that I would encourage everyone to do. And what I started doing was going through the churches, and almost every one of them they have a particular characteristic of Jesus Christ. Um, he has a commending words, and in all but two he has something against, and then he has some consequences, and then action and reward. And it's kind of cool. I've just been going through it and just each one of them, and writing them down. So it's kind of a neat little project if you want to take it on. And I was hoping to be done with it by now and have more insight. But for today, I'm just going to be reading the first church. I may do another one. I don't know today. But the first church is the church in Ephesus, and that's in verses 1 through 7. So I'm going to first read it. Okay, to the angel of the church in Ephesus write. Now these are Jesus' words. And in some versions it says, to the messenger of the church of Ephesus write, the words of him who holds the seven stars in his right hand, who walks among the seven golden lampstands. I know your works, your toil, which in some versions says labor. So I know your works, your labor, and your patient endurance, and how you cannot bear with those who are evil, but have tested those who call themselves apostles and are not, and found them to be false. And actually in some versions it says found them to be liars. Okay? I know you are enduring patiently and bearing up for my name's sake. And you have not grown weary, but I have this against you, that you have abandoned the love you had at first. Remember therefore from where you have fallen, repent and do the works you did at first. If not, I will come to you and remove your lampstand from its place, unless you repent. Yet this you have, you hate the works of the Nicolaitans, which my note says conquerors of the people, okay? Which I also hate. Okay? He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To the one who conquers, I will grant to eat of the tree of life, which is in the paradise of God. Okay, so the church of Ephesus. One interesting thing I found is, as you're going through this project, if you take this on, if you do this, it's interesting, sometimes we tend to think, I'm doing the stuff, I stumble here, I fall there, but you know what? For the most part, I'm really doing the stuff, But isn't it interesting as you read through and make this? I was going to make one big list of all the things that Jesus commends all the churches on, which is what we want to strive for. But you'd think that if you get it, 80% right or 90% right, well, that's pretty good. Almost like it's a curve thing. But you read what he says to these churches, and they're getting it done. They're doing the stuff, but he does not. He does not let them slide with where they're lacking. And he says, "But this I hold against you." In 5 of the 7 churches, right? So with that, I just want to read, and these 7 verses, And I would love to get feedback on this. This is the one of the things I really wanted to have down before I did today's read, and maybe somebody can comment on this and help me out with it. The characteristics of Christ says he holds the 7 stars in his right hand, and he walks among the 7 golden lampstands. So I'm going to do some research on that, look on MacArthur's site and maybe see if I can find something from Piper or Alistair Begg, but I'd love to get some feedback on that. And this is what he commends the church in Ephesus for: their works, their labor for Christ's name. They're laboring for Christ, for Jesus Christ. They're laboring, okay? It's not just general labor, it's they're working for him. Their patient endurance. They don't associate with those that are evil. And they test the fake Christians. Isn't that interesting? They don't just go along with them and go along to get along. They test them and expose them as fake. And they're not growing weary. And all the work and all the labor and the testing and all that, they're not growing weary. And they hate the works of the Nicolaitans. And Jesus hates that also. So they're tracking with Jesus in that regard too. But of all that, he says this: I hold against you that you abandon the love you had at first. And sometimes we have to check ourselves. All the time we got to check ourselves. I mean, when we first got saved, if you are truly born again, you got on fire for the Lord and you just couldn't believe he saved a wretch like you when you get to that point where you are born again. But we tend to get a little flippant and a little going through the motions kind of thing. We don't have that same zeal as we did at first sometimes. And Jesus doesn't like that. He says here, you abandon the love you had at first. Remember the love you had when I first saved you, and press on. And this is the consequence. He says, if you don't, get it together, he's going to remove your lampstand from its place. More stuff I need feedback on. Okay, the action. This is what he says. Okay, here's what you need to do. It's a call to action. It's not, hey, okay, I'll see what the Lord's going to do. Well, yeah, there's a waiting and there's a praying and all that. But we have action steps, And this is what he says. Do the works you did at first. And conquer. Okay, and what is your reward when you do these things? If you run the race and finish strong, what does he say? You'll eat of the tree of life in paradise. Okay, that's all I got for today. That's the first church he addresses in Revelation. So God bless you all. We'll see ya.